Hi and welcome to the ThruNite channel. So today I'm discussing some different EDC flashlights and what is the best value EDC light. Alright, so I have a little arrangement of some common EDC flashlights that I've personally used many times. On the left here we have the ThruNite T3. Next to that here we have the Olight BatonPro. In the middle we have the Olight I5R. To the right of that we have the Fenix E30R, and all in the end we have the Streamlight 88810, which is known as the Wedge. Now I have to say all of these flashlights are good options for EDC. I've enjoyed carrying and using all of them. They all have pros and cons, just like anything else. Alright, so in this video we're going to be kind of comparing them to each other, and what most prompted this video for me is the price change on the ThruNite T3. This has always been a fantastic flashlight. This was fantastic when it was $65.95, but right now the price on Amazon for the ThruNite T3 is down to $29.99. That, in my opinion, is huge, because not only was it one of my favorites, but now it's less than half the price. So starting with the ThruNite T3, this has a max output of 2,250 lumens. This guy happens to have a SST40 LED in it. All right, and the battery source for this one is a 21700. All right. Next to that we have the BatonPro from Olight. These are currently selling for $89.95. This has a high output of 2000 lumens, and this one's running on an 18650. In the middle here we have the Olight I5R. These are currently selling for $35.99. This has a max output of 350 lumens and a battery source which is a rechargeable AA, or otherwise known as a 14500. Now unfortunately both the BatonPro as well as the I5R, the type of LEDs are not specified in the specs. All right, so they are currently unknown. Next we have the Fenix E30R. This has a capability of 1600 lumens and its highest output. They do state the LED in this one, which is also an SST40. All right, the same one that's in the T3. All right, and this one currently uses a 18650 battery, and the price on this is $80.45. And the last light, all the way to the right here, is the Streamlight Wedge. These currently sell for $84.79. This has a high output of 1000 lumens. Now, what makes this one a little bit different from the other lights here is these all have removable batteries that are rechargeable. This unfortunately does not. This has an internal battery. So I don't know the exact size of the battery. However, the capacity is 1500 milliamp hours, which is half of some of these other lights here. All right, but it does have a very unique style. We'll talk about that later on. So what I'm going to do is go over each individual light, starting on the left to the right, and we're going to see how these function. And like I said, afterwards we'll get outside and get some beam shots. So starting with the ThruNite T3, we can see we have a wide flat bottom. This is particularly nice for emergency lighting. Something that I look forward to in having an EDC light. Doesn't matter where I am, I could be out and about or I could be home. If the power goes out and I need hands-free lighting, this is a fantastic option. All right, because it's nice and wide, it could take a couple bumps without falling over as well. All right, besides that, we have a bi-directional pocket clip, which is removable. So you can clip it this direction or you can clip it this direction. All right, and this does pop off very easily. All right, pop that back on. You can rotate it around the light. Personally, I like to orientate all the pocket clips on my flashlights completely on the bottom, separate side of that button. All right, so in the dark, if I'm blind and can't see anything and I grab the light, I feel where the pocket clip is and I automatically know where that button is, okay, to turn it on. All right, just a little tip. As far as the button, it is on the side, obviously not on the bottom here. Some people like tail clicky lights, some people like the side button. That's just personal preference. So to use the light is very simple, just like a lot of ThruNites. They have very similar, if not identical, UIs. All right, so we're just going to push the side button. You can see we do have a power indicator letting us know our battery power is fine. All right, this one happens to ramp. So if you push and hold, it is going to ramp up. You let go at any point and then push it again, it'll ramp down. So you can find infinite, different output levels depending on, what you need for that specific task. It will blink when it gets to its highest as well as its lowest. You can double click at any point, all right, to get to turbo, and you could triple click for strobe. I'm just going to give you that quick warning again for anyone who might have an issue with flashing lights. You might want to skip this part of the video, but 3 clicks, 1, 2, 3, and there is strobe. Now in the off position, you can push and do a long hold, and we get our moonlight mode. This has the lowest output but the longest runtime, which is a fantastic option for emergencies. It is really straightforward. We have a charging port on the back, all right, rubber cover, very standard. I'm going to pop this off. You can see that we have a USB Type-C connection, which is nice because that is the newer technology for faster charging. Very straightforward light, fantastic option. That is the ThruNite T3. So next up here is the BatonPro. All right, this one also has a flat bottom for tail standing. This one happens to charge with a magnetic piece that goes to a USB. All right, so the addition of the magnetic bottom is nice. So you could stick this different places that it'll magnetize to. All right, this also has a bi-directional pocket clip, which is removable. The only issue with this one is this is actually orientated directly below where the button is, which I prefer. However, if you notice, there's just one position here. So if I remove this, there's a channel that's cut, and there's no other way you can move this pocket clip around. Some people like to rotate it to different areas, but this one only has the one position that is permanently set to. Now I'll show you real quick on this ThruNite T3 that obviously, because you can rotate this, if you happen to have the preference of keeping your pocket clip in line with your button, so in the dark, when you grab your light, you could feel where the clip is and you know that the button is directly above it. That might be a different way you like to orientate your pocket clip. But obviously that's not an option with this Olight BatonPro. All right. So to use this flashlight, all you have to do is hit the button just like the ThruNite. Just gonna push it once, turn it on. Also has a power indicator. This is orange right now, so it's telling me that I need to charge this. If I push and hold, you can see it will cycle through the different modes. We have low, medium, and high. At any point in time, whether the light is off or on, you can double click to go to turbo or triple click to go to that strobe mode. Again, just skip ahead if you have a problem with flashing lights. But here is strobe, 1, 2, 3. All right, and same thing with the ThruNite, with the Olights, you could do a long press. And then we have your moonlight mode, okay, which is, again, the lowest output for the longest runtime. Next up here is the Olight I5R, all right, very simple EDC light. We have a tail switch in this case instead of a side switch, all right, so you're just gonna push that to turn it on and off. Obviously, because of that, it does not tail stand. All right, so that's unfortunate for emergency type situations where you want some hand-free lighting. This does still have a bi-directional pocket clip, which is nice though. All right, very, very simple light. All you have to do is click the back to turn it on, and in this case, there's only 2 modes. All right, so we have a low mode and a high mode. All right, you can cycle through those modes just by doing a half press. So when you first, press it, it'll be low. You let go, do it quickly. So 2 presses will be high, and then just click it in whatever you want. So let's say you want the low mode, you're just gonna click it in on that first press. If you want the high, you basically do a half press, another half press, but then it goes all the way forward. So half press and then click it on. All right, and there's your high. And that is it. To recharge this, you do have to remove the battery, all right, completely. And the Olight battery that comes with it does have a little charging port to USB to charge this, or if you wanted to, you can use regular alkaline AA's in here. Just keep in mind, if you're using a regular alkaline AA battery, that are disposable, you will have less output. All right, so next up here is the Fenix E30R. This does also have a flat bottom, a little bit of a different design here though. So we have some wings. That's where your lanyard would go through if you want to use a wrist lanyard. It's a little bit less stable, but it does tail stand just fine. It could take a little bit of a bump, just might not be as secure as some of the other designs. All right, this also has a pocket clip on here, but it is a single directional pocket clip, okay? So even though this kind of looks like it extends, that's just to get it deeper in the pocket, but you can really only clip this in one direction. This is also removable, and you can reposition it anywhere on the light, which is nice. As I talked about before, depending on the orientation to the button, that might be something that you want to do as the user. Now to charge this light, it is also magnetic, kind of like the Olight, only the spot is on the back of the head as opposed to the bottom of the light. All right, so that's where you'd have a magnetic piece that would go to USB to charge the battery. So to use this light is different, just like all Fenix flashlights, they have a specific type of UI. All right, so if you press this once, all it's gonna do is give you the power indicator, okay, which is kind of nice. You don't have to turn it on. Let's say you're in a dark room, or a dimly lit room and you don't want to draw any attention, but you want to know how much power your flashlight has. That's kind of, I guess, a nice feature. So you can see that as a positive. So to use the light, you want to do a quick double press. All right, that will turn the light on. Then you want to use single clicks, okay, to cycle through the modes. So we have low, medium, high, and our turbo mode. Now, if you want to shut the light off, you do a long press. However, if you hold it too long, that's going to get you into your strobe function. Okay, so the long hold when the light's on goes right to strobe. So I'm going to be demonstrating strobe mode, so just skip ahead if you don't like that flashing light. But how to turn this light off is with a long press. The thing is, if you keep holding the button after it goes off, that's how you access your strobe mode. All right, so that's a little confusing to some people. If you just want to shut the light off, but you accidentally hold it too long, not only does it not shut off, but it goes right to strobe. All right, so long press, so it goes off, and then it goes to strobe. Now, what I really like about the Fenix, if you can tell, is the strobe wavelength changes. What I mean by that is right now it's a slower blink, and then it goes to a higher blink. A slower flash, faster pace flash. So, you know. So that actually is a pretty big deal to me. And the reason for that is if you're using strobe for defense or some kind of situation like that, your eyes could actually adjust to it if it's not as dark outside. That wavelength being the same on a lot of different lights, you know, in certain situations you can adjust a little bit better by changing up the wavelength so it's super, super fast and then it's not as fast and it's really, really fast. That makes it a little bit harder for the eyes to adjust. It's also pretty unique. Not a lot of companies do that, but I just thought I'd point that out there. So that is the Fenix E30R. All right, so last up here is the Streamlight Wedge. This is model 88810. All right, this is a unique style light. This almost carries like a pocket knife in your pocket. It's obviously a lot longer, but it's pretty slim. So we're very used to cylindrical flashlights, right? Flashlights have always been kind of round, but this one definitely offers something a little bit different. It does have a flat bottom, albeit kind of narrow, so it does tail stand for emergency hands-free lighting, but there's an issue here, which I'll mention in a second. It's not quite as stable, all right, but it does tail stand. It does have a pocket clip. It's just one position, as you can see here, all right, so it's not bi-directional, but it is a deep carry pocket clip, okay, so if you're carrying this in the pocket, and that's why I put a lanyard on here, it might be a little bit harder to grab that, but at least it's kind of concealed. If you had this in the pocket like this, no one's going to really even know this is a flashlight. It would probably look more like a pocket knife. But to use this flashlight, you have a side switch here. Now, if you push this forward, it's constant on. However, this is the low mode. So when I talked about tail standing here, if you want to tail stand this light, you can only tail stand it in the low mode. All right, you cannot do it with the high mode or turbo mode, which is the full 1000 lumens. So I believe it's more like 300 lumens right now. If you want to get to the 1000, you have to push it forward. The problem with that is that it's not constant. It is only a temporary turbo mode. So when you let go, it goes back down to low. Okay, so if you wanted hands-free lighting somewhere, you're not able to do that hands-free and have it on the full 1000 lumen output. All right, very, very simple. Does have a power indicator. You can see that green illuminating right there in the button. So that's nice. It'll go red to let you know when you need to charge it. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. It's very unique. Unique could be good or it could be bad. Just depends on how you see things and what your needs in a flashlight are. But that's pretty much it. To charge this, there's an open port on the bottom. I don't like the fact that it's just open. It's very standard. You notice with all the other flashlights is that whatever charging port you have is not exposed to the elements. It doesn't get wet. It doesn't get dirty. This unfortunately is just what it is. All right, so you have to be aware of that. So being that this has a pocket clip on it, if you'd have this just clipped in your pocket and you're just walking around outside, this is obviously exposed to all the weather. So if you're walking around in the rain, it's possible to get that wet. If you're doing something out in a dirty environment, it's possible to get dirt and stuff in there. And obviously if you get that clogged up, you're not going to be able to charge it. All right, you have to use maybe some compressed air or something to get that stuff out of there. So that's a huge downside to me, a negative. However, I have EDC this. It's just something I kept in mind, all right? So there was only maybe one or two occasions I remember where I had this in my pocket and I was aware that, it's raining outside. So what I did was I unclipped it from my pocket, turned it upside down and put it inside my pocket just like this. So that any moisture, any rain water that gets in my pocket wasn't directly going into the charging port. So anyway, that is pretty much it. That is the Streamlight Wedge. All right, so now that we talked about each individual light, let's go ahead and head outside. Let's take a look at what these lights can do in the dark. All right, so first up here is the ThruNite T3. All right, on turbo mode. I'm about probably 15 or 16 feet away from this wall here. So we'll take a look at the spill. Let that focus a second. All right, down. Left and right. So you can see we have a very bright hot spot, all right in the center here. All right, and then we have a fairly bright spill as well. All right, next up is the Olight BatonPro. Okay, now in this case you can see that there's no specific hot spot. It's just kind of one wall of light here. All right, go up, down, left and right. And there you go. Next up here is the Olight I5R. Go right to high mode. Same deal, there's not a specific hot spot in the middle here, just a little bit of wall of light. So up, down, left and right. And there you go, I5R. All right, next up here is the Fenix E30R. Turn on. Highest mode here. All right, in this case, we do have a center hotspot. All right, and then from here on is the spill. Go up, down, left and right. There's the Fenix. And the last up here is the Streamlight Wedge. All right, so I have to hold this forward. Remember, it's only temporary turbo mode, but as I'm holding it forward here, you can see just kind of a wall of light. There's no specific center hotspot here. All right, so up, down, left, and right. All right, so now that you guys saw what these lights are capable of, you can make up your own mind as to what you might prefer, but here's a little food for thought. I love all these lights. They're all fantastic EDC options. The I5R is super classic because it's just so small, it's lightweight. The only issue with this, of course, is the limitation of 350 lumens. Now, this does light up, your keyhole on your door if you're looking to, figure out which key to put in when you get home. It can do a lot of stuff, even though it's a small light. However, it's still a $35 or $36 light, depending on where you're buying it. The fact that the ThruNite T3 price went down cheaper than the I5R, like this probably would have been my pick as an all-around, best EDC value light. However, the $30 price tag on this is just absolutely amazing because not only do we not get 350 lumens, we're bumping that up to 2,250 lumens, but you're also getting, a lot more capability. It is a bigger, heavier light. Obviously, that would be personal preference if you wanted to EDC this clip to your pocket or something. But as far as value goes, and that's kind of the point of today's video, is the overall value of everything, this is number one for me. All right, I still think that the I5R would come in number two, but the price is a huge factor to me. All right, so again, all these have worked fine for me for EDC, but if I had to put numbers on them for my personal taste, for overall value, number one, number two, number three, number four, number five. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. And if you're not familiar or you're new to this channel, ThruNite does free giveaways to their viewers. If you want to enter, all you have to do is comment on these videos as well as subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.